I'm Monroe Kincaid, 32, born into a working-class family and married into one of the oldest and most ruthless dynasties in Greenwich, Connecticut. My in-laws wear pearls, inherit trust funds, and measure worth by how loudly their last name echoes through country clubs. I've always been the unwanted addition, the girl from nowhere who married their golden son and then refused to bow, apologize, or disappear. No matter how much I built on my own, I stayed the outsider no one invited, the quiet storm they pretended they could control. I used to think feeling invisible was the worst thing a family could do to you, until I discovered a secret buried under their mansion that could destroy every one of them. And on the day they laughed at me at the auction, I stopped being their embarrassment and became their reckoning. The tires hissed against gravel as I turned into the long, tree-lined drive. Willow Ridge loomed in the distance, all white columns and iron gates, a monument to bloodlines and buried lies. The estate wasn't just historic, it was a trophy. And today it was on the auction block. A man in a tan coat stepped off the curb, his pace sharp, purposeful. He didn't look at me, just dropped a thick envelope on the hood of my car and kept walking. I stared at it. No note, just my name, scribbled in black ink. I peeled it open. Inside, an aged legal document. Yellowed edges. The ink faded, but clear enough. Monroe Kincaid is listed as a partial heir to Willow Ridge under Clause 14C of the Bancroft Land Trust, contingent upon surviving direct bloodline of Martin R. Kincaid, deceased. My father. My chest tightened. He was never part of their world, and neither was I. Until now. I tucked the document deep into my bag. Not yet. Not here. Security at the gate motioned for me to roll down the window. You're not on the guest list. Try again. I handed him a sealed envelope, my pre-cleared financials, certified, notarized, and backed by Saltmarsh Holdings. It hit like a gunshot. The guard blinked. His demeanor shifted. He nodded to someone behind the glass. The gate buzzed open. Cut. I stepped out of the car. Heels on gravel. Wind clipped the edge of my coat. Camille Bancroft was already watching me. She turned to her mother, Vanessa, and said something under her breath. Vanessa didn't bother to hide her laugh. You lost, sweetheart. Camille called across the courtyard. This isn't a pop-up thrift. Ryder smirked beside her, scrolling his phone. Maybe she's here to valet. I didn't blink. Not for them. I moved forward, slow, even strides, eyes locked on the registration booth. Elias Morel stood just to the side, clipboard in hand, eyes sharp as glass. He clocked me, then the name on my registration file. For a beat, nothing. Then he nodded once, crisp. Miss Kincaid, he said. Welcome. Camille froze. Ryder straightened. Vanessa took a step forward. You let her in. Elias smiled, tight, practiced. She's pre-qualified for the full bid range. Silence. The kind that thickens the air. People turned. I heard murmurs. She's with them? Isn't that the girl who? No way. But I kept walking. Camille broke the silence with a hissed whisper. She's bluffing. Vanessa turned cold. That girl is about to embarrass herself. They didn't know I already had their embarrassment in my purse. Elias handed me the paddle. Matte black. Number 46 etched in silver. I moved toward the outer edge of the courtyard. Not too close. Not too far. Just enough to watch them unravel from a distance. The estate loomed behind them like a co-conspirator. Every shuttered window a secret. Every stone soaked in legacy. Legacy they stole. My fingers brushed the edge of the envelope again, hidden under leather. Sometimes we don't inherit property. We inherit war. They don't know I'm not here to bid, I'm here to bury them. The courtyard filled fast. Polished shoes on stone. Sharp heels echoing like distant gunfire. Voices clipped cold. The kind of rich that doesn't shout but cuts with a whisper. Camille took center like she owned it. Red suit. Diamond studs. That snake smile. I thought you'd crawl in through the servant entrance, she said, not looking at me. I didn't flinch, didn't respond. Ryder stood next to her, checking his watch. She's not even holding a brochure. Cute. Every family needs a scapegoat. I just never expected to be mine after marrying in. The auctioneer tapped the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, we begin in 15 minutes. Registered bidders, please confirm credentials at the side booth. I slipped past a group of real estate sharks, each with their own Bluetooth headset and silent entourage. The scent of cedar oil and fresh cash clung to the air. Near the fountain, I spotted her, Seraphine Dalton. Black suit, low bun, clipboard hugged tight to her chest. She saw me. I nodded. She didn't nod back. She looked away. Cut. I moved past her. A man brushed by, too close. Cold. Deliberate. I caught the edge of his sleeve as he turned. Cuffed initials, RB. Ryder Bancroft had brought muscle. Not just family pride. He brought cover. They're not just here to win. They're here to erase me. I sat on a stone bench near the hedge, pulled out my phone. Notifications silent, but one message pulsed at the top, unknown number. You shouldn't be here. This isn't yours to expose. Last warning. I stared at it. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Behind me, Vanessa's voice. Soft, syrupy, lethal. Funny thing about secrets, Monroe. They don't stay buried unless we all agree to shovel. I didn't look up. Legacy doesn't belong to intruders, she added. It belongs to the ones who never had to ask for it. You mean the ones who steal it? She blinked. You think you're holding something powerful. You're holding a lighter at a gas station. I'm not here to light it, I said. I'm here to blow it up. She smiled, just barely, then stepped back. Cut. Elias appeared from the side entrance. Clipboard, sunglasses, military posture, bidders to be seated. Chairs creaked. Sun caught on mirrored glass above the balcony. A drone buzzed overhead. Probably news media, or someone worse. I found my seat. Row 4. On the edge. Camille strutted past, heels cracking. She stopped beside me. I've seen your apartment, Monroe. The pipes leak. I've seen your lawyer. His hands shake. She tilted her head. Why now? Because people like you don't learn unless someone makes it hurt. She laughed once. Just don't embarrass yourself when it starts. It started. Opening bid, the auctioneer boomed. 6 million. Paddles shot up. 7 million. 7.5. 8. Camille raised. Ryder raised. I didn't. The man from earlier, the one with the cuffed initials, sat 2 rows ahead. I watched him jot something in a notebook. His eyes flicked toward me, then toward Elias. Cut. My phone buzzed again. A photo. My name. Stamped over an image of the original inheritance document. Another message. Still think this was an accident? Another image. Seraphine's phone screen. She was the one who leaked it. Twist. No. No. I looked up at her. She wasn't looking at me. She was speaking to one of the estate attorneys. Too calm. Had she turned? Had she ever been on my side? The bid climbed. 9 million. Ryder's voice cut through. 9.5. Camille clapped like she was christening a yacht. Vanessa whispered to their banker. I stayed quiet. I read once that the most powerful person in the room is the one who doesn't rush to speak. The one who knows the final word is still theirs to give. Beside me, someone gasped. A woman in green murmured, Isn't that her? The girl with the story. A paddle dropped behind me. People were starting to doubt. Elias shifted his weight. His eyes landed on me again. And for the first time I saw something. Not suspicion. Warning. I turned to find Seraphine. She was gone. Vanished from her post. My stomach flipped. And suddenly it wasn't about the auction. It was about who else knew I was here. Who else wanted me gone. The will wasn't destroyed. just buried. And now it's resurfacing with me. The numbers climbed like a fever. 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10 million. Camille didn't blink. Ryder raised his paddle again, like it cost him nothing. Vanessa's fingers gripped her handbag so tight her knuckles whitened. I stayed still, cold, calculating. The longer you stay silent, the more they bleed, my father used to say. Silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. My phone buzzed again. A text. Same unknown number. He didn't fall. He was pushed. Ask about 1989. Ask about the garden steps. My breath caught. My father. The estate. A staircase. Then came another message, an image. Grainy. Black and white. A blurred photo of a man mid-fall. A timestamp. 11:42 p.m. Willow Ridge Estate. 26 years ago. I looked up. The bidding hit 10.2. Ryder hesitated for the first time. Sweat traced his temple. Camille leaned over and hissed, "Don't stop now. You have her cornered." Did they know? Did they suspect what I had? Cut. Elias Morel stepped down from the platform, walking toward the back with brisk, clipped strides. Not toward me, but toward the man in the cuffed blazer, the one who'd been jotting notes. A quiet exchange. Tense. The man turned, looked straight at me. I felt it again, that cold prickle at the back of the neck. The awareness. The silent message. You are not safe here. I stood, moved toward the inner archway of the courtyard. Shade. Away from eyes. Elias caught up. "Miss Kincaid," he said low. "We need to speak. Now." He handed me a tablet. "Surveillance from your rental unit. Last night, at 2:11 a.m. The video played. Grainy night vision. A tall figure scaling the fence behind my duplex. Entering through the side patio. No forced entry. Whoever it was had a key. The figure entered my office. Opened my safe. Flipped through papers. Paused. Lifted the envelope. The same one I had right now. I watched the hand. A glint of jewelry. A distinct flash. A ring. Oval stone. Blood red. Vanessa's ruby signet. I stared at the screen. My pulse thundered. Elias spoke again. "You want to stop this quietly or make it public. Either way, you're not going back to that apartment." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The mic at the podium crackled. Going once at 10.5, I walked back into the light, past the rows of silent bidders, past Camille's frozen stare. I raised my paddle. 11 million. The courtyard fractured. Gasps. Murmurs. Vanessa's chair creaked as she half rose. Ryder swore under his breath. Camille stood. "You're bluffing." Elias raised his voice. "Bidder 46 has been verified for the full range." I watched Camille's face drain of color. Someone behind me whispered, "Who the hell is she?" Another voice, "That's Kincaid, from the Saltmarsh case." My eyes locked with Vanessa's. She didn't blink. Neither did I. Camille leaned forward, snarled through her teeth. "You're playing with fire, Monroe." "No," I said. "I am the fire." The auctioneer paused. 11 million going once. Ryder looked toward his attorney. A slight shake of the head. No more room. No more cash. They were done. Going twice. The sun shifted. A shaft of light cut across the courtyard like a blade. "Sold," the auctioneer said, slamming the gavel. The echo rang like thunder, and the world went silent. Camille sat back slowly. Her hands trembled. Vanessa didn't move. Ryder cracked his knuckles. Elias stepped beside me. "Congratulations, Ms. Kincaid. You just bought their past, their shame, and their exit route." "I don't want their exit," I said. He looked at me. "I want the confession. You stole my safety. Now I'm stealing your legacy." The second the gavel hit, Camille's face cracked. It wasn't rage. Not yet. It was disbelief, a momentary glitch in a perfectly curated expression. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then stood. "No," she said flatly. "She can't do that." The crowd stirred, energy snapping through the air like static. "Someone needs to stop this," Ryder growled. "That was a fake bid." Vanessa didn't say a word. She turned slowly toward me, gaze narrowed, like a cobra just before the strike. I didn't move, didn't flinch. "You said it best," I told her. "Legacy belongs to the ones who never had to ask for it. Turns out I never did." Ryder lunged forward, knocking a glass off the table. Water splashed across the stone floor. "Cut!" Camille was already moving. Her heels hit like hammer strikes as she stormed toward me. "Open your purse," she hissed. "What did you bring here?" "Don't." But she was already reaching. I twisted away too late. She yanked my shoulder back, her nails scraping skin. Her hand dove inside my bag, and froze. Her fingers wrapped around the yellowed envelope. The one they thought had burned with my father. Gasps. People shifted. Phones came out. Someone was filming. Camille pulled the document out and held it high like she'd just caught a criminal. "She's carrying forged legal records," she spat. "No," Elias said, stepping in between us. "That document was notarized in 1971. You're welcome to challenge it in court. But today she holds it." Vanessa finally stood and spoke. "Where did you get that?" I met her eyes, from someone who had nothing left to lose. Elias stepped forward again. "I believe that's your late father's signature. Right, Mrs. Pennington?" She didn't answer, just clenched her jaw. Then the first real twist hit. Someone in the back, an older man in a tan coat, raised his voice. "That inheritance clause was suppressed in probate court. Your firm sealed it." Silence. The man stepped forward. Gray stubble, a voice like gravel. "I was the assistant paralegal on the case. You paid off the judge." People turned. "What's going on?" "Did she just say bribed?" "I thought it was clean." Camille's skin went pale. Vanessa dropped the glass in her hand. "Who the hell are you?" Ryder barked at the man. "I'm the mistake you didn't kill fast enough," the man said. "Cut." Elias held up a tablet. "Public record request. The document is authentic. Verified last week." Camille tried to laugh, but it came out dry. "This doesn't change anything." Ryder snapped. "Then burn it right now." He lunged for the envelope. Too late. Elias stepped back. Security swarmed in. Phones filmed from every angle. "You really want this moment on video?" I asked. Camille stood frozen. One heel lifted like she might run. Ryder's hands trembled. Vanessa lowered herself into a chair like her knees had given out. "I always wondered," I said, "why people like you build everything on lies. Then I realized it's not about power. It's about fear. You're terrified of the day someone walks in and reminds you the truth still breathes." Then, boom, sharp, sudden. The sound came from beyond the courtyard. Everyone flinched. Camille whipped around. A plume of smoke rose behind the estate wall. Glass shattered. An alarm started screaming. Elias's radio crackled. Something just went off near the garage. Minor blast. Possible device. People panicked. I felt the heat before I saw the flash. Someone had tried to torch the estate. To erase something. Not me. Evidence. Elias turned to me. "You need to leave. Now." "No." He grabbed my arm. "They'll start covering tracks. This was just a warning." "That's what scares them," I said. "This was never about a house. It's about what's under it." And I was done knocking. I didn't just buy their estate. I triggered a war. The estate reeked of ash and power. Smoke still clung to the hedges. A scorched outline marked where the blast hit near the old garage. But the structure had held, just like its secrets. "You're staying here tonight?" Elias asked. I'm not going anywhere, I said. My boots crunched over glass as I walked past the West Wing corridor. Cameras were already mounted. Security lights blinked red. The estate was under full surveillance. Exactly how I wanted it. You think they'll try again? Elias asked, scanning the perimeter. They already did, I replied. This wasn't a scare tactic. It was desperation. Inside, the house felt colder than it should, like the walls themselves were watching. I passed portraits of dead men with iron eyes, all Penningtons, all liars. The floorboards creaked as I moved through the dining hall toward the stairwell. The library door was ajar. I paused, listened. Nothing. Just the low hum of old electricity and secrets soaked into wood. I stepped inside. The scent of dust, paper, and dried ink. I remembered this room from childhood visits, always locked, off limits. Vanessa said it was too fragile to play in. Now I knew why. My flashlight cut across the shelves. Rows of leather-bound ledgers, tax records, old wills, banking slips, a loose tile by the fireplace. It caught my eye. I knelt, ran my finger along the seam. Air seeped up from underneath. I pressed it. Click. The tile shifted. A small panel dropped open, just wide enough for a hand. I reached in, felt paper, a box, metal. I pulled. The weight was heavier than it looked. Inside, a sealed ledger embossed with the Pennington crest, and tucked beside it, a flash drive and a single Polaroid, taken at night. A young woman standing barefoot in the garden, her face bruised, her hands bound. No timestamp, no name, but I knew her. It was my aunt, Rosalind, dead at 19. Suicide, they claimed. That was the year my father left the family. Left everything. Secrets aren't buried, I whispered to myself. They're catalogued. I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. A folder popped open. Trust, all the counts, names redacted. Offshore holdings. Cayman, Zurich, names hidden behind shell corporations. But one document was visible. A wire transfer. 2 weeks before Rosalind died. From Nolan Pennington's trust to a private facility in upstate New York. Subject, behavioral isolation therapy. Female, 19. And a second file, consent form signed by Vanessa Pennington. I closed the laptop. The walls of the library felt tighter now. I turned, heart hammering. She was there. Vanessa, standing in the doorway. You shouldn't be in here, she said, voice calm. You always say that, I replied. Why? What exactly are you afraid I'll find? She stepped inside, hands behind her back. I never meant for it to go that far. My breath caught. You signed her away. She was unwell. You isolated her in a psychiatric facility using trust money, then staged her suicide. A beat of silence. Then she smiled. You think you know what happened. You think you're any different from the rest of us. I'm the only one who buried my father without a cent from this family. That's what makes me different. You're not different, she whispered. You're dangerous. That's why I had to stop him. I froze. What did you just say? Her smile didn't change. Your father. He wouldn't let go of the file. He was going to expose it all. Chase begged him to stay quiet. I stepped back. You murdered him. It was an accident, but once he fell, well, things became easier. I reached for my phone. She moved faster. Something cold slammed into my shoulder. I dropped the phone. Pain flashed red. Not a gunshot. A stun rod. She pressed it again. My knees buckled. The room spun. You should have stayed in the shadows, she said. Darkness blurred at the edges of my vision. But before I hit the floor, I managed one sentence. You should have made sure I was alone. A siren wailed in the distance. Red lights flickered across Willow Ridge's white stone. Smoke still curled from the blast zone. The house stood, but something old was dying tonight. I slipped inside the shadows of the West Wing corridor. My shoulder burned. Stun, rod, bruise blossoming beneath the coat. Footsteps behind me echoed. Soft. Purposeful. Vanessa's heels. You should have accepted the warning, she said. Her voice was calm. Too calm. I accepted nothing, I whispered. I just bought the truth. Her lips curled into a grin. She reached into her clutch and pulled out a paper folder. Photo on the front. The one from the library flash drive. I know what you found, she said. The ledger. The confession. I also know what makes them real. She flipped the folder. 2 names circled in red. Hers and Ryder's. Offshore accounts. Cemetery land transfers. Fake charity shells. Money flowing for decades. I took a breath. The corridor felt tight. The wood floor smelled old. Dust in the air. And fear. A Faustian contract, I said. Signed in your blood. But tonight, I get to burn the signatures. I pressed record on my phone. Her face flickered under hallway light. Horror. Panic. Rage. Before she could respond, a crash. Security doors slammed shut. Cameras pivoted. Floodlights snapped on. From the shadows stepped Elias Morel, black coat, badge in hand. Behind him, 2 detective-looking men in plain clothes. Greenwich PD, one said. You're under citizen's arrest. Stand down. Vanessa froze. Her eyes darted, searching. Then she dropped the folder on the floor. Papers spilled like dead leaves. Ryder's voice thundered behind her. You betrayed us. I walked slowly toward him, every step loud. The sound of my shoes on marble echoed like judgment. You betrayed yourself, I said, because truth doesn't belong to thieves. Cuff clicked. Another cuff snapped on Vanessa. She screamed, half fury, half fear. Camille stood across the hall, her face ghost white. No rescue. No look of shock, just realization. The world she built was crumbling in record light. In public. On live feed. Cameras broadcasting. Tick, tick, tick. The lead detective raised his voice. You have the right to remain silent. Cut. Outside, reporters gathered. Phones out. Drones overhead. Flashbulb strobe. I stood under a column. Coat soaked, eyes burning. They looked at me, the girl in the scarf. Bruised shoulder, crooked grin. I stepped forward. Your mansion wasn't a prize. It was a grave. My words carried. Into microphones. Into the night. Then I turned and walked through the courtyard. The old fountain still leaned, broken. Water nothing but rust-colored stains. I left the scene like a verdict. 2 weeks later, the gates of Willow Ridge opened only for me. Lawyers followed. County clerks stamped papers. Judges sighed under heavy robes. The estate, the land, the hidden files all went public. Assets seized. Offshore, funds frozen. Records archived. Evidence filed. Justice began in slow, deliberate steps. I walked through each room, grand halls, marble floors, shuttered windows. I left nothing untouched, nothing hidden. In the old library, I placed a new ledger on the shelf, titled Truth and Legacy Trust. My name printed, ink fresh. I stood under the chandelier, dust motes drifting through golden light. The portraits of dead men glared down, but this time they had nowhere to hide. Part of me expected emptiness, sadness, but I felt calm, because justice isn't revenge. It's restoration. We don't build our worth on wealth or fear. We build it on truth, on the courage to speak it aloud. On the roof above our head, earned, not stolen. I walked out to the garden when dusk settled. Crickets, evening light soft on stone. The wind whispered through the pines. I closed my eyes, breathed. Freedom tastes like fresh air. And silence, a promise kept. No more secrets. No more ghosts. just a future I choose to own.